Hi book lovers, it's Jenny at Julia Baby Jen's Reading Room, and this is my weekly wrap-up for September 19th.
Busted!
Alright, so after I spent an entire day trying to do my August wrap-up earlier this month, I decided that was just ridiculous and I should have divided it up. Well, a friend of mine suggested we try something called a weekly wrap-up, where instead of trying to do everything monthly, we go by the week, and at the end of the month maybe just, give a quick reel of what we read and then maybe our favorites. And I really like that idea because, seriously, I do read a lot of books. This month I haven't read as many, but when I read so many, trying to do a wrap-up video, because I think my video was like 35 minutes long. Well, I was doing 33 books, so that doesn't give each book very much time to talk about it. So I decided we would try this. So I'm actually going to do from September 1st until now. And then from now on, I'm going to do it weekly. So this video will be a little longer than normal. So far this month, I have read 13 books, which isn't too bad for me. It's a little less than what I normally do, but I've been working on some other projects and things too. So anyway, let's get started on what I've read so far this month. Ashes by Ilsa J. Bick. This is the first book in a trilogy, the Ashes trilogy. A good friend of mine loves this trilogy, and some other friends and I decided to read it. I picked this book and the sequel up at the library because I have an e-arc for the third book, and so I wanted to read the whole series. I haven't read any of them yet, so I wanted to review the third one. So I picked these up in the library. Well, then they went on sale. So right now on Amazon, I don't know if they're on sale on Barnes & Noble, but Amazon, this one is on sale for $1.39. And the sequel is on sale for $1.99. So if you want to read these books, now's a really good time to grab them. I just got mine from the library, but it's definitely worth $1.39. It was a good book. I gave it 4 stars. It was a little slow going at parts. The concept was really awesome. It was very gruesome. It was just a really good dystopian. I liked it. There are certain things that I didn't really love about it, but the end was amazing. It had great twists in it, and it really leaves you on a cliffhanger to read the next book. So, I'm really excited to read Shadows, which is the sequel, and I think I'm going to be starting that tomorrow. So, either tonight or tomorrow, I haven't decided. So yeah, this is definitely a good dystopian and worth your time. Ice Country by David Estes. This is the second book in the Country Saga, and I really, really love this book. Just as much as Fire Country. I don't know which one I liked better. I really liked them both. I loved the main character Daz in this. I have kind of a girlish crush on him now, which is strange for me, but yeah, I really, really did like Daz. This is a land up on a mountain, so it's lots of snow and ice, and Daz is kind of a goof off. He's now officially an adult, but he doesn't really do anything except hang out with his best friend Buff and cause trouble and get in fights. And he has a little sister Jolie, who doesn't spend much time with their family because she spends more time at a neighbor's house. His father has died a few years ago, and his mother's in this dark, deep depression and is basically like an alcoholic, so she can't take care of the family. His older brother Wes is the one who supports them. So this is basically, he tries to do something to help his family, and he ends up making a big mess of it and ends up under the service of the king, and he uncovers basically a conspiracy that's going on with the king and with Fire Country. So this is all about his adventure and journey, and it was really good. What I really loved is that it connected things back to Fire Country, so we learn more actually about Roan in Fire Country, and also it had all of my favorite characters for Fire Country. Cirque and Sienna and Sky were all in this, as well as Wild and Phoebe. So this is really awesome. I really did enjoy this, and it was a 5-star read for me. The Incorrigible Children of Ashton Place. This is the second book, The Hidden Gallery, and I like this one way better than the first one, I think because it took place in London, and also there's kind of a little bit of a romantic interest in this. It's on a children's book level, so it's it's just a very sweet little acquaintance, basically. But basically in this one, the nanny, Penelope the nanny, ends up taking the 3 children to London because her headmistress is going to be in London and wants to meet her, and basically she was her guardian. So she's going to go to London, and she takes the children with her and then the entire household ends up going because the Countess, they're doing repairs on the house, and she wants to get out of there, and so they go to London for a little while. And she meets this guy named Simon there who helps her. And basically there's a big mystery going on with this gallery in a museum is what this one's about. So it was pretty cute. I enjoyed it like twice as much, I think, as the first one. So yeah, this one was fun. And it's a 4-star read. World War Z by Max Brooks. I actually started this at the end of August and I didn't finish it, but I finished it first part of September, and it was good. I liked it. It was a totally different style of writing. Basically, it's like an oral historical version. Basically, the guy, the main character guy, is going around and interviewing people for a report for the government on the World War Z. So this is after the wars happened and humanity is bouncing back. But in the beginning it explains that a lot of the report was not submitted because it was too personal. They wanted hard, cold facts. And a lot of the stories he gathered were very personal, obviously, because there are people who lived through this war. So this book, he wanted to write a book. He wanted to write a book based off of the actual personal histories of these people. So he interviewed several people, and these are their stories. It tells them in increments, like it starts off like before the war really took place, all of their different opinions, and then during the height of it, what they did in their adventures, and it's all different people from all over the world, all different walks of life. So it's really interesting in that. And it had me hooked. It took a little while to get into, but once I did, it was really good. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't think the movie, I haven't seen the movie yet, but my guess is that the movie is probably not a lot like this book in that, other than basically maybe the actual world and how the war goes down, just based on the trailer that I saw. So, but yeah, I enjoyed it, and I gave it 4 stars. It's Not Summer Without You by Jenny Han. This is the second book in the Summer series, I think is what they're called. So this is after the first book. Susanna, Jeremiah and Conrad's mother has died, and this is the next summer, and actually no one's at the beach house this summer because of that. Jeremiah and Conrad are off doing their own thing, and Conrad's at summer school at college because he failed some of his classes when she was sick. And Belly is at her normal home, this is the first summer she's ever actually spent at home. She always spends it at the summer house, and she's in this depression. She and Conrad did kind of date throughout the year, and that ended not very well. So, and then she was really horrible to him on the day of his mother's funeral, and she feels really bad about it. So this is basically what happens is Conrad runs away from college, and Jeremiah calls up Belly, who they haven't talked for months, and she goes with him to help find Conrad and bring him back home. So yeah, I gave it 4 stars. It was okay. I didn't like it nearly as much as the first one. I was really frustrated with all 3 main characters. They were all so stupid. I just wanted to shake all 3 of them but yeah, I will probably read the last book to see how it comes out, but it is like one of the worst love triangles I've read in the regard that they all 3 just need to go take a cold shower and stay away from each other. That is my opinion. And mainly, I think that mainly because the 2 guys are brothers, so there's just something wrong with that. But yeah, I did give it 4 stars because I was gripping and I read it through the whole thing, although I was very frustrated with all 3 of them. Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo. I loved this book. This is the sequel to Shadow and Bone, and I think I liked it better than Shadow and Bone. It's more intense. The beginning was amazing. Really good action, and we got a really cool new character, Captain Sturman, I think, Strumman, how do you pronounce it? And he is awesome. And then the middle part of the book kind of slows down, a lot like Shadow and Bone, but with his dynamic in there, it made it so interesting. I was very frustrated with Alina through most of it. She made mistake after mistake after mistake, but even though I was frustrated with her, I still really kind of like her. I just, you know, a lot of times when main characters make stupid, wrong decisions, it really frustrates readers, and it frustrated me a little bit. But on the other hand, if they were perfect all the time, what kind of a book would it be? I mean, I just wouldn't want to read that much about a character who's perfect. You're supposed to learn and grow, and she's dealing with a lot in this one. I was also frustrated with Mal a little bit. I saw they had some issues, and I saw both points of view. I really liked the new character. He was awesome, and he made the middle of the book much more interesting. And then the end was just amazing and crazy, and I don't know how I'm going to wait for the sequel, because yeah, it really ends on a pretty good, yeah, I want to read the rest of it and find out what happens. But I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. Light by Michael Grant. The Gone series is now over, and I finished it, and I loved it through the entire series. 6 books, all amazing books. Some were better than others, but they were all good books. So this was a great series to read. It was definitely worth my time. It's one of the better dystopian worlds, and just the characters are so great, and the ending was amazing. It ended on a great note for me. It felt as realistic as it could felt within this world, and yeah, I had no idea how Michael Grant was going to wrap this all up, because it's so crazy. But he did a great job, and I was really satisfied and happy with the ending, and my favorite characters came through, and there were some that died, and I was upset about that, but they died in a good way, I guess. I don't know how to describe it, but I was satisfied with it. So yeah, 5 stars. Really, really good series, and if you like dystopians and have not read the Gone series yet, I really recommend it. The Austere Academy by Lemony Snicket. This is the 5th book in a series of unfortunate events, and this one was really cute. I enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars, and I will continue to read this series. I love that these don't take me very long to read either. They're really quick. Tessa loves them too, so that's kind of fun. A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. This book was really good. I have not read Patrick Ness before, and I will be reading the Chaos Walking trilogy, but I started with this one, and I'm glad I did. It had some beautiful illustrations in it. The story was really good, and I was totally hooked the entire thing. And it's like a fantasy within a realistic story, almost like a fairy tale feeling to it. So I really did like that, and the illustrations really made the story even better. Really enjoyed it. The writing was amazing. The illustrations were good. So yeah, I really recommend this book. 5 stars. Fire and Ash by Jonathan Mayberry. I have this fly buzzing around my head right now. So if you see something whiz by, it's a fly, and it's driving me nuts. But to continue on, this is the 4th and final book in the Benny and Mara series, or the Rotten Ruin series, and I really did like this book. It wasn't as good, I don't think, as some of the previous books. I don't know. It was good. I gave it 5 stars, mainly because for the whole series is why I gave it 5 stars. But it was good, and the ending was good. I thought the final part of it was really good. It was well written. There was just some things, it just almost tied up just a little too neatly. I almost felt at the end like it was Little House on the Prairie. It just wasn't, it just didn't fit in with the whole idea of how destroyed this world is. It just doesn't, I'm happy that it had a good ending, or a happy ending, but it was almost a little too much. So that was my only, and then throughout the book, Benny kind of turns into a little bit of Tom, which is good, but he's still Benny. He still did Benny-like things, but he became more wise, which is good, you know, that it showed that he was growing up. But we kept making these speeches, like really long speeches, and they were great speeches. I really enjoyed the speeches themselves, and I could get behind them. But it just felt kind of strange that in the middle of all this action, he's giving these long speeches. So, you know, that was just a little bit, it took me out of the story every time that happened. And it was like, I was impressed with his speech making, but yet at the same time, it just didn't quite fit for me, I guess. So that was my only complaint, though, and it's a small thing, really. I mean, I still thought the book was really good, and I gave it 5 stars. So, you know, it's just not I guess, the best zombie book I've ever read, but it was still really good, and I enjoyed it. So yeah, this is definitely a good zombie dystopian series if you want to read one. Through the whole book, all 4 of them. It's a really good zombie series, and it will scare you. Girl of Nightmares by Kendare Blake. This is a sequel to Anna Dressed in Blood, which got pretty rave reviews. I mean, I loved Anna Dressed in Blood. I thought it was a really good, creepy ghost story, and it is a ghost story, and it's creepy. But it was really good. I really liked it. I gave this book 4 stars, but it's between a 3 and a 4 star for me. I couldn't decide what to rate it, so I finally just went with 4 stars because it was good enough, I think, to rate it that. It wasn't as good as Anna Dressed in Blood, but it wasn't bad. It was still a good book. I enjoyed it. It was a little slow at times. It's basically this, what happens is, so Cass has sent the Oberman or whatever, that evil dude, to hell, or Anna actually took him to hell. But since then, he keeps getting these visions of Anna being tortured. Everywhere he looks, he sees her being tortured, and she's basically in this living hell situation with the Oberman, and she's not supposed to be there. So he wants to bring her back, and he thinks he can do it. And then in the middle of trying to solve this mystery or figure out a way to do this, he learns of this cult that surrounds his knife, this cult. So he ends up going to London with his friends, and then there's a lot of team drama with his 2 best friends in it too. So the basic concept's really good, and the end was freaky and awesome, but the first, I don't know, I would say the first half of the book was really kind of slow, and it was hard for me to get through, but once I got past that, it was good. The last half of the book was way better than the first, so it was interesting, and I really liked the ending, and I think this is the end of the series. It really finishes up everything, so I think it's just a duology. I don't think there'll be another book, unless there's a new book about just Cass without a ghost about Anna, which is possible, I guess. But this is good, a decent 4-star read. Water and Storm Country by David Estes. 5-star read, no surprise there. I will link my review below. I did go ahead and write a review for this. I try to always write a review for David's books because I want him to be like famous and all that, so you gotta write him reviews. So I really love this book. This is the 3rd book in the Country Saga. It kind of ties up the Country Saga a little bit, but there is one more book, The Earth Dwellers, which I'll be reading soon, that combines the Country Saga with the Dweller Saga and really winds everything up, apparently. But as far as the actual Country Saga and dealing with the selling the children from Fire Country and all of that kind of thing, it's kind of tied up. This one was my favorite world of the 3 Country Saga books. I really did like Fire Country. I thought Fire Country was awesome. And Ice Country was good too. I mean, they were all good, but I really loved this world. Probably because the whole idea of like the sea and the ocean, I like that. And then the horses, I'm a big horse person. So yeah, I like horses, and then the ships. I get into that kind of thing. I just like that kind of thing. So I mean, so that was it for me. I really love this world, and I seriously was just like, I don't know how to describe it. Reading the scenes where Huck's on the ship, and then reading the scenes with Sadie and her horse Passion. It was like I don't know how to describe it, like really good comfort food or something. I mean, like eating pasta or putting on my favorite shoes, or, you know, something like that. I'm trying to describe this in a good way. Just really cool. I just really liked it. It was just fun. I just enjoyed that. The actual plot line is pretty horrific because it is a dystopian, so it's not you know, rainbows and sunshine, but I expected that, and yeah, I really liked Huck a lot. I really liked Sadie. The other characters were just, yeah, I liked them all right. We got to know Jade in this little bit, which was cool. And then the other characters, our favorite characters from Fire Country and Ice Country, do come into the story towards the end, and we get to see some more of them. So, as far as characters go, that was really awesome too. And then there's the basic plot was interesting, how it all kind of tied together, the 3 different worlds and the conspiracies, I guess, and the twists and all that. That was really neat too. So it's definitely a 5-star read, and I really did enjoy it. There was one scene I didn't particularly like, and anyone who's read the book probably would guess what it is. It's a pretty horrific, awful scene, but I came to terms with it. I was alright with it as things went on. So yeah, I really did like this book. I can't wait to read The Earth Dwellers. Don't know what else to say. I loved the book, I loved the world, and I would be able to live there. As long as I could take my husband, I'd be able to live there. Bitter Kingdom by Ray Carson. Yeah, I'm in love with this book. This was a 5-star read. My favorite so far of the month. I love this trilogy, and I've always loved it, but this book cemented it. The entire trilogy all the way through is amazing. The writing is great. Story's amazing. The characters are amazing. The world's amazing. It's really, really good fantasy. So probably one of my favorites ever. I seriously read most of this all in one sitting. I read like the first, I think, 80 pages one night, and then I fell asleep. I was tired. But then the next day I read the entire thing all at once, and I couldn't put it down. What I love about these books is, seriously, I reread them while I'm reading them, if that makes sense. Because some of the scenes are just so funny and so good. Like the banter between the characters, it makes Cassandra Clare look like nothing. I mean, it's just really, really good. And so you would read like a couple of pages with a scene and with a little banter. I go back and reread the scene after I finish this scene just because it's so fun. And I just had to reread it again. And I did that through this book like 4 or 5 times. And then the last chapter, I reread that last chapter 6 times just because I didn't want to let the story end. It's just so amazing. It's one of those books, a friend of mine's reading it, and she's reading it really slow because she doesn't want it to be over, and I get that feeling, but I couldn't put it down. There's just no way. So, and the first 2 books were the same way for me as far as rereading while I was reading. And actually, Crown of Embers, the second book, I finished reading it. I read it all. I was off from work that day, and I took that day to read. I read the entire book. It was probably a little after lunchtime when I finished. I took a break and had some lunch, and then I went back and reread the entire book again that day because it was just so good. I wanted to read it again right away, and that's what these books do for me. It's like Harry Potter. I just want to keep rereading them all the time. I want to live in Ray Carson's head. I want to marry Hector, and yeah, I want to be best friends with Elisa, and I just want, yeah, it's just so awesome. And even though it's a fantasy, it's like a realistic, I shouldn't say it's realistic. It's a realistic feeling in the fact that it's easy to believe, I guess, even though it's fantasy. So it all makes sense within its own world, which I love when you don't have to sit there and question. There was only one flaw that I could come up with this book, and that was the character of Bellin. In the first third of the book, he's a prominent character, and he's really an awesome character, and I really love him. And he's helping Elisa, and he's a very prominent character, and they're following him through the desert and everything, and that's awesome. And then they get Hector, and Hector kind of joins them, and after that, it's like he falls off the page. We don't get to hear, I mean, it's like he kind of disappears. He's there, he's traveling with them every once in a while. We'll hear something from him, but it's part of that is, I'm sure, because it's from Elisa's point of view, and at that point, she's not thinking very much about Bellin. She's thinking about Hector, and she's thinking about Storm, and she's thinking about Mara, and then the girl, Mula, that's with them. Mula. So, I get that, but I really, really like Bellin. I would have liked a little bit more with him towards the very end. He's there again for a prominent scene, but most of the rest of the book, he kind of disappears almost, and I wish there was more of him in it. that's my only complaint, and that's a pretty minor thing because I didn't really notice until I got to the very end and actually thought about it, and then I kind of noticed it. So I wasn't paying that much attention to it in the book because, you know what, it's Hector. Most of the book is Elisa and Hector, and yeah, I'm good with that. So yeah, that's my only complaint. So yes, if you have not read this series and you do like fantasy at all, I would definitely suggest reading this series. It's really, 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 really good. The first book is good, really good. I really loved it. They're all 5-star reads, but it gets better. The second book I think is my favorite, Crown of Embers. I really loved Crown of Embers. This one is right behind it. It's just barely noticeably better, Crown of Embers from this one. And the ending of this one was perfect. It was a great tie-up to the series. We get our closure, but you know, it's still realistic. And one thing I do want to warn you, when you read this trilogy, don't get attached to anybody because Rae Carson is ruthless on her characters. She will kill just about anybody. So you were warned. But yeah, this is just an amazing trilogy. Alright, I fangirled enough over it. You get the point. So that's my weekly wrap-up for September 19th. I guess it is, September 19th. And like I said, this is from September 1st until now. And then next week I will do one for the following week. So I hope everyone's having a great day. I will talk to you later. Bye.
Busted.